Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Thank you for being part of this channel. I hope you're doing well in the wake of a lot of these hurricanes we've had. Watching two spots out there. If you've been joining us the last few days, all on track, right? Everything on track. Watching this area here that has flared up. Thank you for the comments. I've been watching some of the rain, San Andres, Providencia, parts of Belize yesterday, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. This is an area that may develop some, and then it will increase our chance of rain for us in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. Bahamas, some rain now. Now for the Bahamas, northern and eastern Caribbean, I'm watching this second area. I want to show you this. There's a higher likelihood this does develop. There's not a lot with it now, right? There's a little spin out there, but not a lot now in the short term. But this is the spot that is going to continue to move to the west. Now, the end game on this, I'm still not certain because I need to see it kind of develop first. But over the next few days, I'll be able to fine tune where this area is going to go with plenty of time. So if it impacts us in parts of the islands over toward the Bahamas, I'll give you well advanced kind of notice on exactly what's going to happen. But here it is. Here we are in Barbados, Dominica, Trinidad, Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, Puerto Rico, Haiti, and the DR. And you see this spot here, but look at this orange shading here. A lot of dry air. So in the short term, as this rolls into that, it's not going to develop today and tomorrow. But once this gets through the dry air and closer to us in the Caribbean, that's when it could start to develop. So this is the spot I want to track first, and then I'll swing back here. So kind of one at a time. You get a look at this area here as this moves its way generally to the west. The European model eventually has this becoming a tropical storm near the northern Caribbean. The American model does the same thing. Canadian model sees an area of rain, kind of a lot in the way of rain, but not quite development. The Icon model also has this becoming a tropical storm. So a higher likelihood it becomes a tropical storm, potentially a hurricane, but that's kind of still a wait and see on that. So watching this spot, I do believe it will eventually develop once we get past the next day or two, once it gets on the other side of that dry air. Now, all these squiggly lines coming at us, a map like this is always a little bit scary when you see these lines coming at us, but this doesn't tell the whole story. But it does tell us that this area is going to move to the west and west-northwest. It will be close to us in Anguilla, Antigua, and Barbuda, Friday into Saturday, and then very close by, U.S., British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Turks and Caicos, and the Bahamas. But what is it at that point? That's still a question. Is it just a big area of rain like the Canadian model, or is it developing into a tropical storm and then a hurricane? I need about a day or so to fine tune that. I want to see what's left of it as it gets through that dry air. Then I'll know what will happen and exactly where it will go, and I will let you know everything I'm seeing with that. Now, those squiggly lines out in time, this is showing the strength of this area, their potential strength. This is a day out, 2 days out, 3 days out. You see 3 days out, once it gets past that dry air I was just talking about, on this chart, it does start to strengthen. Most of the models bring this to tropical storm strength. So there's a high likelihood that this area does eventually become a tropical storm, maybe a hurricane down the road. So knowing that it will strengthen, the key for me will be is to kind of see exactly where it is going to go. And we'll touch upon that in a moment. Now, looking at all of the conditions, I mentioned the dry air to start, but down the road, this area is going to work into an area that has more moisture above our heads and those water temperatures warmer, 30 to 31 degrees Celsius than here, 86 to 88 degrees Fahrenheit. So more moisture above our heads, warm water temperatures. That's why I do believe it is going to develop. This spot back here, to touch on this as well, lots of rain in the Western Caribbean. Very warm water temperatures there too. It's been a little bit cooler in the Gulf of Mexico, especially in the wake of Milton, but these are spots that are developing near the Caribbean where the water is warm. So that is a concern. Now, what I'm going to do here, I know I'm going to block this a little bit. I want to start with that one, but watching this area here, and I'm going to zoom down into the Caribbean. So for us in Central America, back in the Western Caribbean, Jamaica, I'm going to zoom down in a moment on this, but just kind of highlighting this area now. And you see how it's not a whole lot going out in time. You can keep an eye, depending on where you live, on a spot on the map on where you are. This is by the time we get into Wednesday. So you see here on Wednesday, still the rain here, according to the American model, and then you see this area here starting to flare up. So a couple days from now, right, it gets on the other side of that dry air. So unfortunately, conditions are more conducive. This time of year, though, a lot of fronts across the U.S. Oftentimes that blocks things from coming into the U.S., but it will be the timing of those fronts that will be critical down the road. Now, as we work our way into Thursday, watching us in the northeastern Caribbean, I showed you those squiggly lines showing that this area will get close to us in the northeastern Caribbean. I'll be watching out for just how close it's going to get. And all of this moisture here, whether or not it does develop, this is mainly going to be swinging underneath these fronts, generally back toward the west. So as we look at the pattern here, let's get into later this week. This is Friday. At the least, we should see increased rain in parts of the northern and northeastern Caribbean. If you're in Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, U.S. British Virgin Islands, Antigua, Barbuda, Anguilla, St. Martin, down through, say, St. Kitts and Nevis, we're watching this area very carefully. Here are the fronts of the north. Here's this area here. The American model still does want to develop this. We'll cover that more in a moment. But then you see here, the American model tries to make this some sort of compact or smaller tropical storm, potentially a hurricane. These fronts here trying to protect the U.S., but watching the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and again, Hispaniola back through Puerto Rico. By the time we get into the weekend, there could be a named system very nearby. Now, of course, that's alarming. Let's wait and see. Give me another day. Tomorrow, I'll let you know if we need to go into monitor mode, if we need to do some kind of more stuff. But give me one day just to kind of fine-tune this further. There's going to be a front nearby here, and a lot of times this all kind of gets tied together. You see, by Sunday, looks like just a whole lot of rain around. This may kind of get tied into the front and move away, or it misses the front and just continues to work its way off to the west. This is 6-7 days from now, so I just need at least another day to kind of fine-tune that track, and then I'll get into things very specifically for you. Do this channel for safety, so I'll be able to give you a heads up, and hopefully this thing just misses or doesn't develop a lot. Now, here's the European model. Watching this area here, here's Jamaica, here's Haiti right here, here's Trinidad, for example. Going out in time, kind of showing both of the areas here. The European model still not developing in this area near Central America. That's the one I've been kind of leaning to yesterday. I mentioned the European model showing a lot of rain. This here is on Wednesday. A lot of rain building, so I am watching out for development. The biggest concern, though, Central America in the short term will be the possibility of flooding. Here's high pressure up here. This acts like a blocker. These fronts kind of act like a barrier. High pressure builds in, and that's why, as of now, nothing's shooting at the United States. But we'll see the timing of these fronts, because if this moves away quickly and then this area moves in, it can eventually get a little bit closer to the Bahamas and the U.S. Now, this here is Thursday, lots of rain, so seeing if we do get any sort of spin up or any development in the Western Caribbean. But here comes that next area. Here's that front here. So here we are, Antigua and Barbuda right here, for example, over towards Saba, Statia. Here's this area here. Now, once it gets past the dry air that I was showing you, the European model does have it start to develop. So almost all of the models are showing development out of this area. Here is Friday. Here's the rain right here, but you can see it here. Now, this would be more to the north. This is what I'm hoping for, that if this does start to develop, it's to the north of us in the northeastern Caribbean. I never wish a storm on anyone. I do not like storms. That's actually why I got into weather. I actually don't like storms. European model does hint at a little development late week with this area in the Western Caribbean, but here's high pressure, still that blocker for the U.S. So we've got these two areas that I am watching very carefully. This here is on Friday, so could see a little spin up here, but here comes that area. It does get better organized, more organized. Looks like it could become a tropical storm. The European model has it north of Puerto Rico, north enough of Puerto Rico. This would be on Saturday, but we're looking Friday into Saturday, the rough timing where there could be some sort of system nearby the northeastern Caribbean and then approaching the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Hispaniola, and Puerto Rico. You see it here, this is going way out in time. This here is a week from now, so no doubt it will change, but the European model does show a system near the southern Bahamas or Turks and Caicos. Now, like the American model, it kind of gets tied into the front. This is by next Tuesday. There's going to be a front here. Then everything's kind of all over the place, right? Does it just kind of drift its way and fall apart? Does it get into this front and kind of work its way up here? Still seems to be a blocker across the U.S. So this is well down the road. So that's why I mentioned about a day or so for me to fine tune where this area will go. And then I'll get a good handle on the strength. Some of the indications are a front just kind of takes it away or it misses the front, could fizzle out. But that's what we're looking out out for. But Friday into Saturday, northeastern Caribbean, we could have a system that is nearby. Now, let's switch a little more of a focus to the Western Caribbean, and then I'll try to tie everything together. Here's that spot I've been watching. It was nothing a few days ago, right, when I said some rain would build up, and we've seen it. We saw it yesterday, and we see it even more today. The rain is building in the Western Caribbean, so I was doing my best to give you a heads up that flooding would be a concern out of this. The European and the Canadian do not have this becoming a tropical storm. I hope that is the case. The American model still wants to spin this up into a quick tropical storm or hurricane and then kind of drive it into Belize, Honduras, and Nicaragua late week. Tropical storm, or excuse me, the Icon German model has this becoming a tropical storm and doing a similar thing. Not sure yet on this, but what I am sure is we have a lot of rain building. That's why I gave you the heads up on that. And this rain is going to gradually continue to shift off to the west, which means the flooding and the mudslide potential is going to increase out of this. So we remain in monitor mode. I'm not here to waste anyone's time, use any scare tactics. That's why I try to really break it down. Monitor mode, which means we're just kind of waiting and seeing if it does develop together. But with that said, flooding and mudslides the biggest potential, and there is a chance that conditions later this week could become a little more conducive for something to develop. Even the European model was hinting at that, but either way, lots of moisture getting thrown into this direction. So giving you that clear kind of heads up that it's a spot to watch. We're in monitor mode, and I am concerned about the flooding. And you see why all of this building down here, and I showed you earlier, those water temperatures are very warm down here. So it wouldn't take much for a tropical depression or a tropical storm to form out of this, but we do not need a named system to give us big problems with tropical rain. In the tropics, of course, we've had a lot of unnamed systems that have given us big problems. So at the least, this is going to be a big rainmaker. Watching spotty showers near Jamaica and still up through the Bahamas, especially northern and central Bahamas. So here's a little more of a focus on this area to zoom down. This is that second spot I'm watching. So here's that rain here, and this is the American model. And you can see we have a blocker up here. High pressure has been in control. We've had fronts moving by the U.S. So I'm not seeing this kind of swinging up to the north, but Cayman Islands, Jamaica, even Cuba, we may eventually see some of that rain as we get into the middle of the week lifting up to the north. So watching the Cayman Islands and Jamaica just to see how close some of this rain will get for us. So this here is tomorrow, but still the rain, a little widespread parts of Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama, even northwestern sections of Colombia, and watching San Andres and Providencia. Still lots of rain building, and by Wednesday, some of this could kind of nudge to the north. So Jamaica, as we work our way into Wednesday, even Thursday in the Cayman Islands, rain chance will build. Now by Thursday, the American model says, hey, this may start to spin up into something. European model, not as much, but it may try to develop into a tropical storm or even a brief hurricane as it works its way to the west. Either way, a lot of rain that will be coming our way, especially Honduras and Nicaragua, but even parts of Belize and Costa Rica, and then watching Guatemala and El Salvador on the flip side as this area works its way off to the west. So yes, it may be a named system. The biggest thing though, I do appreciate you spreading the word about the flood threat because those rivers will get dangerous in some areas. Watching out for the mudslide potential and safety first. So thank you for getting the information out. And even when nothing was there, I was letting you know something was going to build, and now we are seeing that. So thank you for your trust in getting the word out about that area. Now, if one of these areas, the one in the Atlantic and the one in the Western Caribbean, does eventually get a name, Nadine is the next name on the list, and then Oscar. And it does look likely that that area in the Atlantic will at least get a name at some point, kind of 50-50 as far as that area in the Western Caribbean. But Nadine and then Oscar, next names on the list, and then Patty after that. Let's hope this season ends quickly. October has been just awful. The season's been awful as a whole. But the seas are going to build. Here's meters. Here's feet to keep everyone covered. And by the way, Bermuda watching you too. That area in the Atlantic, of course, if this were to curve up to the north, no doubt I'm watching that. But you see here, this is by Thursday. The seas building in the Western Caribbean, even Central Caribbean, just depends on what does develop. And this here is by Friday, and here comes that next spot, and I'll see how close this gets. Does it move into some of us in the Northeastern Caribbean? Is it just to the north? And we still need to see what is it? Is it a tropical storm or is it just an area of rain? But watching out for some of those dangerous seas. Now here's Bermuda. So as I mentioned, if anything kind of curves up toward Bermuda, I'll let you know. Always watching the Atlantic region of Canada. For the most part, we've had that front move by that is filtered in some of the cooler air. Now, this time of year, these fronts, though, can leave leftover moisture where we get additional development in parts of the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean this time of year. But seeing this front here, that'll bring us some rain every now and then in Bermuda. And we've had the temperatures as a whole dropping in parts of New Brunswick, Newfoundland. We've been seeing that. Thank you for the comments in the Atlantic region of Canada. This here is by the time we get into Wednesday. So Bahamas, watching this area in the Atlantic, okay? We're watching that. Short term, we're going to see some of those areas of rain like we have this morning, right? Northern central Bahamas especially, where we could get some 3-day totals of 4 inches of rain or 100 millimeters of rain. We swing here, Cayman Islands and Jamaica. It's going to be that close call, right? How much of this rain is going to get close to us? But the better chance of rain in Jamaica, for example, would be Wednesday into Thursday. Haiti and the Dominican Republic, short term, back through Anguilla, Antigua, and Barbuda, St. Bart's. Not a lot over towards St. Croix. Hit or miss shower over toward St. Martin, but it's going to be that spot that will be coming in from the Atlantic, and that's what I'll be watching to see Friday into Saturday, how close that gets to us. Dominica down through Trinidad and Tobago. Passing shower, may get 1 or 2 over towards St. Lucia. You see the rain total's not high at all, but we could get a couple areas of rain that give us a quick 25 millimeters of rain or an inch of rain, Guyana and Suriname. But here's that core of the rain. This is off of my chart. There's just so much rain here. That's why I'm watching for development. But Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, please let me know in the comments how you're doing with some rain. San Andres and Providencia. We're going to have some totals the next couple of days of 100 millimeters or 4 inches of rain. But later this week, as this moisture really builds back to the west, that's where we'll see an even higher risk of flooding, and that higher flood threat will be with us. Mexico City to the north back through Texas, we have been too dry. So the rain chance later in the week in Jamaica, that's when it's going to build in. A few showers and storms today, but a better chance midweek. We'll see that around the Cayman Islands. Wednesday into Thursday, that rain chance bumps up. Hit or miss as we get through Trinidad and Tobago today, a 30% chance. In the next couple of days in Barbados, a 30 to 40% chance. The next 2 days in St. Lucia, about a 40% chance of some showers. And even 40% chance as we get through Grenada, and then we get over towards St. Vincent and the Grenadines the next 2 days. Rain chance 40 to 50%, dropping off some midweek. Martinique, 30 to 40% chance. We do that again in Dominica. Rain chance isolated, 30 to 40% chance of a passing shower. Now, as we get toward Guadeloupe, the next 2 days, the rain chance about 30%. We get to the north, drier, Antigua and Barbuda, but no in Antigua and Barbuda. That spot to the west, that is what, or actually that spot to the east, that is what I'm watching in the Atlantic. I will be able to fine tune how close that is going to get to us. Same thing, St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat for late in the week. But in the short term, Anguilla, St. Bart's, rain chance is not too high. You see just a 20% chance the next 2 days. St. Martin, Sabin, Statia, 20 to 30% chance across Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico, I'm watching this area out in the Atlantic. I got you covered, so thank you for spreading the word about this channel. U.S. and British Virgin Islands, next couple days, the rain chance is not high. Bahamas, northern central, mentioned that, some of those higher rain totals. Turks and Caicos, a couple of hit or miss showers around 2 the next few days. Rain chance about 20 to 30% in the Dominican Republic. Mainly dry today in Haiti. Midweek, we could get a couple isolated showers that will be around. Belize, I am watching this spot in the Western Caribbean. The rain chance will be building later this week in Belize. Thank you for leaving your comments. Aruba, we've had a few showers around over the last 24 hours. Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, the rain chance is not high, but still a spotty shower or rogue thunderstorm will be possible. Only a 20% chance in Guyana. Will bump up a little bit in Suriname tomorrow. We could get a passing shower. 30 to 40% chance the next 2 days in Cuba. We get back through Costa Rica and Panama. Thank you for the comments. I was seeing those yesterday, last night, and this morning on some of the rain that we've had nearby. Same thing in Nicaragua. That rain chance gets high on Wednesday, but it gets even higher later this week, and we do that again in Honduras. Again, late week, that rain chance is going to build, which means that flood threat will get higher. Right now, keeping about a 50-60% chance in Guatemala and El Salvador, and the rain chance on the low side as we work our way back toward Mexico City. Yucatan Peninsula, we're also in monitor mode, keeping an eye on this area to see if it kind of swings up toward Cancun, Cozumel, or back toward Merida eventually. As of now, just watching. Northern Colombia, 40 to 50% chance, a 30% chance in northern Venezuela, and And as we work our way into Bermuda, I mentioned that front that's going to be moving by, so the rain chance will be getting higher tomorrow and as we work our way into Wednesday. So two main areas to watch. The one in the Western Caribbean, the rain is going to build. Some development is possible in that. The Atlantic disturbance continues to move into our direction, a higher likelihood that that does form and become a named system. So there's plenty to cover, just breaking it down. First concern is the flooding, and then I'll be able to fine tune where both of these areas will go and if they will develop into those named systems. Got you covered. Thank you for your patience. I do hope you're doing well. Have a good rest of your day.